Thanks a lot, Alex. Hey, listen, like you said, we are here at Gogo Gluten in DDO. I'm standing with Marie, who is one of the owners, fabulous baker. And what I love about doing things with bakers is because I know that they're going to be up early in the morning with breakfast television. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much for coming.
So I guess I could start with this. I mean, obviously a lot of people that come here do have a celiac disease or struggling with that, or have chosen a gluten-free diet for a variety of reasons. But for people that don't know, what is gluten?
Well, gluten is a protein that's found in wheat, like to keep it very simple, and it's found in many different grains, and it causes an autoimmune reaction in certain individuals that are not able to ingest it. Therefore, it kind of becomes a little bit of a toxin, or we consider it a poison when we're explaining it to young children as to why they have to avoid it.
Now, this is something that you got into for personal reasons.
Absolutely.
You are obviously gluten-free, and so are your kids. Is that kind of why you started this bakery?
Absolutely. My mother was first diagnosed in her late 70s, so I saw her go through a long period where she was sick and misdiagnosed. And then finally I was diagnosed, and I've got 4 children, 3 of whom are gluten intolerant, celiac. So I wanted them to have high nutritional value, good quality food growing up, and I felt that it wasn't available, especially, you know, if you go back 10 years ago compared to today there's much more variety. But when we first started dealing with the gluten intolerance issue in our household, it was very, very difficult to find nutritionally sound, good quality food. So I decided to start working and developing it because I wanted my kids to grow up eating stuff that basically you wouldn't know that it was gluten-free.
Well, Maria, we're so happy to be here, and for all our viewers that are gluten intolerant, we're going to have some amazing recipes here at Gogo Gluten coming up a little bit later in the morning. I'll send it back to the studio, guys. You are gluten intolerant. A lot of times you might be thinking to yourself, I want to try some cookies or some bread or these delicious things that you're not allowed to do anymore. Well, that's just not true here at Gogo Gluten. You can come here and test out all these things for yourself. But Marie here wanted to share a recipe for gluten-free waffle mix, and we're going to be making those waffles a little bit later in the morning. But first, it all starts with the batter. Now, what do we have? We have our egg whites that are whipped already.
Yeah, you've whipped your egg whites. You're going to add your dry waffle mix.
Okay, and you can get this right here at Gogo Gluten.
It's our own personal blend, and it's got brown rice flour, sorghum in it, which is a high protein gluten-free flour. You're going to add vegetable oil. We make our waffles, our Belgian waffles, lactose free because a lot of people that are gluten intolerant are also lactose intolerant. So we're using our egg yolks are in there with our lactose free milk.
Okay.
You're going to add vegetable oil. You could use butter, but again, because we make ours here lactose free, we use the vegetable oil. You're going to add just a teaspoon of vanilla.
Right. And I love that you're trusting me with this right now. These are the ones I'm going to be eating anyway.
I can tell you're talented. I can tell you're talented. Now this is going to, let's see if he can get the KitchenAid going. Okay, we're all set. First you have to lift your KitchenAid up.
Okay. Like
lift it up, yeah, all the way up, this way. Here we go. And then don't go too fast or you're going to end up wearing most of it.
All right.
There you go.
We'll go to 2,
there you go.
4.
Yeah.
Is that pretty good?
Yeah, that's excellent. You're going to have amazing waffles.
And so you whip those up, and then we're going to have our batter.
Whip it up, and then you're going to make maybe blueberry waffles. We can make chocolate chip waffles.
Then you can have a little more fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, listen, we're so happy to be here at Gogo Gluten. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And from what you're telling me, when we try this, you don't even know that there isn't any gluten in it, right? That's the whole point.
Our goal for every single recipe that we've ever put out was it had to pass a lot of taste tests, and it never made it past the, it had to be, people had to react to it by saying, I don't believe this is gluten-free, it doesn't taste gluten-free, it doesn't have the consistency of gluten-free.
This is the bread that is fresh out of the oven, guys. I can't wait to try this as I send it back to the studio. We're making waffles a little bit later in the morning. I gotta try it. We are smashing all the stigmas surrounding gluten this morning here at Gogo Gluten, guys. Check out these amazing treats. All of them are gluten-free, and this has been a real eye-opener for me because I figured if you can't have gluten, well, you can't have any taste. You kind of get that grainy, sandy type of taste with any of the breads. But I've tried your cheese bread. I've tried, I'm about to try the waffles, and they're all delicious. Thanks for having us this morning. Now, I wanted to ask you, your mother was found to be gluten intolerant later in her life. You're gluten intolerant yourself. You have 4 kids. 3 of them are gluten intolerant as well. How do you get such tasty treats? Who are your taste testers?
Well, it was definitely my kids. It had to be, as I said before, it had to be good enough for them. I didn't want them growing up not knowing what good, tasty food was, especially baked treats. So I used them as my little guinea pigs all along, and they were brutally honest, especially when they were younger. So they used to always try different things, and if they didn't like it, they let me know it, and they were really cruel and tough judges. So it just pushed me to keep going and going, and a lot of fails. There were a lot of fails before we finally started having some success, and the most challenging was the bread. Because I wanted to get a nice, big, huge loaf of bread, which we just couldn't find anywhere. All the loaves were very small, the slices were small.
Expensive as well.
Very expensive, and we have bread coming out of the oven soon if you want to show it.
Yes, I want to try it, I want to show it, and listen, kids can be very brutally honest, especially little boys, little hungry boys.
Yes.
And I'm a hungry boy myself. This waffle is almost ready to go. I wanted to ask you about. Oh, is this ready?
Yeah,
is it ready?
I think you would take a look at it. I think you better check it.
Do I turn it around?
Yeah.
Because you said I was pretty good in the kitchen earlier, but I don't want to mess anything up now.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Wow. I'm impressing myself. You guys are so nice here.
Look at that.
Kind of taking my hand and everything.
Your first waffle,
wow.
you're a pro.
Look at that. Nice and crispy, a little fluffy on the inside, and then you can kind of dress it the way you want. Hey,
now
the guys from Kitchen 73 did a pretty good job with that. And listen, we're giving you more recipes, gluten-free recipes coming up a little bit later in the morning, guys. Yes, it's the best thing since sliced bread, gluten-free sliced bread. And anyone dealing with celiac disease or who is gluten intolerant is getting very excited right now. I've tasted this bread, and it is delicious. I tried the cheese bread, the raisin bread I'm going to try a little bit later, the white bread, the multigrain
seed bread, which is sort of like our version of a rye bread if you miss having that.
And if you have any, some gluten-free bread, unfortunately, is very small, very expensive, and you kind of get like a grainy or a sandy type of taste to it. This, you guys have really figured it out here at Gogo Gluten. I got to say, and I'm not just saying that, I'm really loving the texture and the taste of this. Now, this is all coming from a very personal place for you. You obviously are gluten intolerant, so is your mother, and you have 3 out of your 4 kids who are as well. What's it like being a mother who's dealing with children who are gluten intolerant? Do you have any advice for any of our viewers who might be dealing with the same situation?
I think when you first get the diagnosis or you find out about it, it becomes a little bit of a nightmare because you feel lost. The diet for some people can be very difficult to navigate at first. You really don't know where gluten is, what gluten is, where you're going to find it. And it becomes difficult because you realize that it's a lifelong special diet to follow. So there's never a cheat. And it's hard because you can't get the food anywhere. Like if the kids are at school and there's a party, they can never have that cupcake. Or if they're teenagers and they want to go out for pizza, they can never do that because it's just not available to them. So you've got to remember that depending on the age of the child or the teenager when they're first diagnosed, it's a huge adaptation to have people eat stuff around you all the time that you never get to participate in.
Obviously, when you are gluten-free, obviously finding baked goods that are tasty and delicious is a challenge. But you guys have really figured it out. Also, you offer these hot meals that we're going to be telling you more about coming up a little bit later in the show. This is perfect for any kid going back to school who wants a hot meal. You caught me in the act, Joanne. I'm just having some gluten-free meat lasagna, and I'm not supposed to talk with my mouth full. Very rude for the kids that are watching right now, but I had to try it. It's really, really good. And obviously, we've been working with gluten-free baked goods all morning, but you guys offer hot foods as well. And this is great for any kid who wants to have a hot lunch at school. It's an easy thing to bring with him or her. How does it work? You just kind of, oh, and we have our gluten-free pizza as well. This would be fun to make at home. How did you come up with this?
Well, basically, the idea with the hot meals is that they're in containers that are freezer safe, oven safe, or microwave safe. And that's just so that you can take a meal with you, whether you're going to a friend's house and you don't want to put them through the trouble of trying to make you a meal that is gluten-free or safe or doesn't get cross-contaminated. Or if you are at school and you do want to have a hot lunch, versus if, I don't know, you go away for a weekend and you're going to be in a hotel where you can't have access to any of the meals there. These containers are great because, as I said, they go from the freezer to the microwave or the oven.
And you know that there is no cross-contamination. It's tough to get that in restaurants, or even for people that aren't dealing with a gluten intolerance and say, oh, no, I can make you a gluten-free meal. Well, you're not sure if you can trust that or not. Another thing also is the bread here. That is the #1 thing that people with a gluten intolerance want. And they want to have a delicious loaf of bread. And these got to be the biggest loaves in Montreal.
They are. We're very excited about the size of the loaves because you just can't find a huge loaf of bread where you get a nice big slice of bread to make a sandwich.
And there's so many different varieties as well. You have the cheese, the raisin, regular multigrain as well. Hey, listen, thank you so much for having us here at Gogo Gluten. And the staff here, I got to thank as well. Guys, you have a fun time? Okay. I really appreciate you guys getting up so early for us. And come and check this place out. They are so nice, and the food is to die for. Okay.